welcome to another video. This is Steve, half of the Steve and Ann Traveling Wilsons. We are back in Eastern Canada, ready to take on the summer. As I mentioned in prior videos when we were down in Florida and doing our loop down and back from those other videos on our site, if you're interested in any of those, just bring us up, the Traveling Wilsons, and take a look. There's a lot of videos from Myrtle Beach down through to Davenport, Florida, where we spent the winter, on the way home to Williamsburg, Virginia, Colonial Williamsburg. Kind of a nice recap of how we spent our winter. It's 25 or 30 videos there to watch if you haven't seen them. So sticking with the theme, I had mentioned that when we get home, my wife, Ann, she works in the summer as an interpreter, tour guide, hiker person at one of our provincial parks. That's her passion. She loves to do that. I don't have that kind of passion she has, so I like to golf. So I spend a lot of time on the road myself, usually by myself because Ann works, and I go and play a lot of golf around the Maritimes, and I'm going to take you along every one of these trips I go on so you can get a little idea of just what it's like in this beautiful part of the country. Canadians will all know the eastern part of Canada and Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick. Americans not so much maybe, but I'm going to hopefully entice you to want to come up to this area, especially if you just like vacationing in a quiet atmosphere, and if you like golf, bonus, there's all kinds of fantastic golf courses around this area. So I'm heading over for a golf tournament this weekend. It's a team event, so there's a bunch from my area going over. I have a partner. We're playing in a two-man scramble, Saturday at a golf course called Anderson's Creek, a golf course that's in the Cavendish area, which is the premier, I guess you have to say vacation area if you come to Prince Edward Island. The beaches, that's where everybody goes. The other course on the second day is Green Gables, which has been around forever. One of the original courses on the island. I think it's over 80 years or maybe 90 years it's been in operation. Very, very nice golf courses, and we really look forward to this weekend. Today is Friday. We're traveling over, playing a practice round at Anderson's Creek, staying in Charlottetown, which a lot of people I've heard of, but have never been there. It's kind of the largest city in Prince Edward Island. It's a very nice place. I'm going to try to take you along all the way with us, starting on the road and just getting to Prince Edward Island. Is kind of fun because we go across the Confederation Bridge, which is a 13 and a half or 14 and a half kilometer bridge that was built, or 8.5 miles, depending on if you're metric or English. And it's changed the way we think about the Prince Edward Island. Instead of it being a trip, having to wait for ferries, it's now just a drive. We get in the car. From my home, I can be anywhere I want to be on the island in 2 hours. It's fantastic, instead of maybe catching the wrong ferry or having to wait and being a long time. But I'm going to take you, I'll do some time lapses here and there, show you some of the sights and sounds, and take you along, show you the golf courses, and just hope you enjoy them, and we'll go from there and see what I can find, because there's lots of stuff to see. So no road trip would be complete unless you stop to get yourself a coffee and something to eat. So I stop here in Salisbury, New Brunswick. Irving Big Stop. There's the Tim Hortons in there, of course, and that'll be my spot to grab a coffee and a breakfast sandwich. Well, I am back on the road, about a little over an hour into this drive to Prince Edward Island. I just wanted to touch base a little bit because if you put the directions into your GPS or your phone to go to Prince Edward Island as you're coming through New Brunswick, there's pretty much two standard ways they'll take you. And I'm at the secondary roads, of course, to get to the Confederation Bridge. And I always take a little shortcut inside of this shortcut in a place called Murray Beach. It runs along the water, the Northumberland Strait, through farmers' fields, around. It's quiet. It's only a 2-lane road. And yes, there's there's hay wagons and sometimes there's tractors. But at the end of the day, it's a great little drive. It's quiet. You're off of high traffic. You can see here to the right, the cars are continuing to move. And we're going to blinker on and we're going to turn in here. The official name of this turn is Murray Corner. But as you go down about a third of the way, it changes to a place called Murray Beach. And has a few cars going this way. They could be locals, you never know. But this is basically what you're going to have. The road's not too bad, but it's just a way to get off the hustle and bustle. And you can see we've got farmer fields, a little bit of tributaries and different things in here. Very pretty. And I'll come back after this first 10 minutes is over, when we get right along the water, and you'll see what I mean about campgrounds and cottages and beautiful scenery. That's why I take this road. Here we are, coming out of that first little bit of this road, and we're getting close to what I call the money shot, which is down here. We're turning right. We're going to start traveling alongside of the Northumberland Strait, which is the body of water which we're going to cross over when we go to Prince Edward Island on the bridge. We still got quite a piece left to get to where we're going, to get to the bridge, that is. But this is the reason I like to come down this road. Sure, it's 5 minutes shorter, but that's not the real reason. It's mostly because I just like the views. Lots of nice houses. There's a campground up here, Provincial Park. You can start to see some of that now. Country market there. Get some better views as we get a little bit further up here. Up on the left, across that little body of water, is the Provincial Park, New Brunswick Provincial Park. Great camping area. Haven't camped there, but been in there several times. Great place to be, right on the water. Can get a little windy. You can get some weather in there, because that is, like I say, the Northumberland Strait, which has some suspect weather patterns. When we get on the Confederation Bridge, because, like I just mentioned about winds and weather, we have some situations, not so much for cars, but sometimes the winds are so strong that they shut down all the bridge traffic to 18-wheelers, high-sided trucks, cars, vans even, just because they're scared they'll blow over, because it's a long stretch at at 8-9 miles. It's 14 kilometers. That's a long ways. And right in here is Murray Beach. That's the Provincial Park right there. And like I say, a little barren right now, but this is the long weekend in May 17th, 18th, and 19th, and 20th, and I'm sure people will be on the move. Okay, we have just come out of the Murray Beach at a side road I took, and we're approaching now to the Confederation Bridge on the New Brunswick side. And as you can tell, there's some traffic here. They're resurfacing the road. It's always good, but a little bit of a pain sometimes. We slip through pretty easy. Coming up here ahead of us on the right, just before we leave New Brunswick, is an interpretation center. Welcome to NB, coming from Prince Edward Island, kind of thing. And if you look far enough ahead, you'll see the bridge. And I think what we're going to do to go across this bridge, we'll do a little time lapse. Maybe we can get some views. It's a little hard to get views because my vehicle's not real high, and there are some cement abutments that block it. I can pick it up here and there and twist it around so you can see. But that's the plan. And now we're going across the start of the bridge to Prince Edward Island. My wife's from the island, and I went to university here. It feels like coming home every time we come across this bridge. The speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour, strictly enforced, or 50 miles an hour. Give you a little idea of what we're talking about. The bridge is like this. And we're driving right over the strait. Fantastic. time lapse here, approaching the end of the bridge, and 25, 30 years ago when I was coming over with Ann and had little children, I mentioned to you before the bridge was built, about the ferries, and a little bit hard to see here. When we get a little closer to the end of this bridge, I can show you, but you can still see the wharf and docking area where we used to get on the ferries. It used to be, I believe, 4. Don't quote me on that. There were these 2 coming and going all the time. And it was, you know, it made PEI more of a destination when you had to travel by ferry. But it's more of an accessible spot now, of course, because we don't have to travel by ferry. You can just get in the car and drive, which is nice. So instead of just completely bypassing and just staying on the highway, I will scoot off here just to the right. And as you can see by that sign, if you can read it, it says Borden-Carleton Gateway Village. So a lot of people would come in here and, like I say, do some shopping. They really built it up quite nice. You can look to the left over here. You can see a lot of cottages along the great shores. And of course the red mud, which we'll talk about. But this is the village here. Lots of touristy places, information centers, restaurants, gift shops, island-specific type of things, hand pies you buy in here, and certain types of clothing made distinctively for here. RV parking, pretty quiet right now, of course. It's only the long weekend in May. This place will start ramping up in June. This was all nothing at one point before the bridge. But with the bridge, it made sense to... There's your Cow's Ice Cream. That's a distinctly PEI thing. Lone Star Brewery, Al Bazaar. And we're just going to scoot through here. But I normally stop in here. Even this time of year, there'll be a pretty good following. Tim Hortons, of course. We're going to turn left here, come out, back onto the main road that I kind of bypassed when I went into the village. Ontario license plate, there's people on the move already. Okay, we're on our road to Summerside. I just wanted to show you what you see in Prince Edward Island everywhere, especially this time of year, but anytime really. And that's these huge fields here. You can see over here to the left and to the right. These are potato fields. And what's distinct about these potato fields is the mud, or the soil, is red. And the old PEI red mud thing, a lot of people would be familiar with that. And it is, as a result, one of the highest growing per capita spots in Canada and for growing potatoes. The high iron content, which causes the soil to be red, apparently is very conducive to potato growth. And so that's why you will see just field upon field of, well, unplanted fields right now. They're just getting them all ready to go. They'll be filled up and soon they'll be all flowered and white. And just this little area we're in is really nothing. It's the place is just tremendous with that industry, potatoes in general. So also, as a result of a lot of potatoes, we are going to come across on this loop, and I'll come back when it happens, with 2 of the largest French fry producers in the world, not just Canada, and that's McCain Foods and Irving or Cavendish Farms. And you'll see in this particular little area of PEI, you know, it's not a large area, some of the plants that they have here. They're a great employer, both companies, and they've had a tremendous competition throughout their life as to who's the bigger producer.
Family members happy and healthy. Discover our widest selection yet and get expert advice.
Here we are back just on the outskirts of Summerside. Like I mentioned before, there's two major centers, Summerside and Charlottetown. Charlottetown's the larger city, and the second largest is Summerside. One's sort of on the west and one's sort of on the east, or more central. But anyway, we're bypassing Summerside and heading to a place called Kensington. And Kensington's a quicker little loop for us to get to Cavendish, where we're headed. Now, I told you a little while ago about a couple of the large French fry producers in the world, the Cavendish Farms and McCain, and are kind of coming up towards, on the other side, like I say, the other side of Summerside, a place called Kensington. And in between here, there's an awful lot of factories and plants of both of these companies. The funny thing about them is they're both New Brunswick based. One's Irving and one is McCain, and they have lots of plants in both provinces as well, of course, but a big presence in PEI as well for the processing plants, because you know you're going to build your plants where your product is. And like I mentioned earlier, potatoes are huge over here, and they do a lot of processing of several different things, but French fries mainly. One other thing about Prince Edward Island was my first taste was they are the roundabout leaders in the world. Almost every place you go, lights are out now. It's all roundabouts, and they take a little used to running inside of them if you're not really sure, because everyone's a little bit different. But I'm getting better at them. We see them in Florida now. We see them in other places, but just not as prevalent as they are down here. Dandelions around people's properties. In Canada, we call it no mow May, where we let the pollinators come out and get all their work done before we cut. Not everybody does that, but most people around these areas where they have a lot of agronomy, they are big bee supporters and want to make sure that they have lots of bees, because once these the potato plants sprout and go to flower, they want the bees in there to make sure they get all pollinated. So it is a big deal. Some of the larger companies actually run their own hives. Or, well, I don't know if they run them in a sense of a company, but they do it to make sure there's enough bees around. So on the right here is Cavendish Farms area, one of their plants. How many people they employ, but there's a lot. It's a big process facility. It is on both sides of the road, and then you just basically get by the Cavendish Farms area. You say, "Wow, that's a lot of stuff," and it quickly turns from there to McCain, who has large processing plants as well. So we are now in a little place called Kensington. It's a small little community between Summerside. Kensington, and then from Kensington we'll make our way into Cavendish, where we're headed. Kind of a neat little place. Very, very busy in the summer. You know, lots of ice cream, those type of places. And there's lots of campgrounds around, so you have grocery stores, liquor stores, all those types of places that people need to get to. Gas stations, all of that. We're going through these lights. And we'll make our way through, and I think it's about 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes. 10 minutes we'll be in Cavendish. And I'm a little early for our tea times, not till 20 to 12. It's only 11:15. 11, so I think I'll take you for a drive from where we would normally go to the golf course, and we'll bypass that and go down to Cavendish itself, and I think I have time to drive through Cavendish, do a little show of some of the areas in there, because if you come to Prince Edward Island as a tourist, you're going to go to Cavendish. It's just the way it is. And you're going to make your way there, and it's kind of nice to get a feel for what it's like. Okay, we pulled into Cavendish. This is the Cavendish Boardwalk. We're on the far west side. And it's pretty dead right now, of course, but it's got all the shopping, campgrounds, all that kind of thing. And it will be a happening place in about a month. Down here to your left of the lights is the Green Gables. Cavendish is the loop to the left, which is the National Park. So not a provincial campground, but a national campground, Parks Canada. And now we're going through what I like to call the Cavendish Central. So these are all your restaurants, golf courses. We haven't got to some of those yet. We'll get there in a minute. And where they have the Country and Western Festival here every year, where they have 30,000-40,000 people. That's in here. Now, one of the golf courses right here, you'll see a sign, Eagles Glen. It's one of the newer ones, very nice golf course, played it many times. It's in central Cavendish. Cavendish Tourist Mart, where you have your liquor stores and your food and all that, and all spattered throughout this whole loop in here are cottages. They're just literally everywhere. There's a water park here. More cottages. You can see nothing's really running yet. There's people are just getting ready. Little amusement parks. And there is a local flair. People live here all year round, so things stay open, just not everything. And like I say, this is the long weekend in May. I'm assuming most things are going to get open soon. Up in here is Avonlea Village, the Hannah Green Gables fans. And in here, in behind, you won't be able to see it from here, is a big area. I might be able to check it on the way back through where they have the big Cavendish Music Fest. They have 2 weekends now, 2 different types. And there's the Green Gables Golf Course right there. We play there on the second day of this tournament we're in. And we're going to go by the golf course right down here at the bottom of this hill. It crosses the road. It's kind of cool. You go underneath the road. Might be able to get a better view of some of it here. There's some of the people are out there. Yeah, there's your golf course there. Oh, it looks in very good shape for early May. And this is where you come across here. Guys Old Planet. Turn at this corner, and this is the way you would go down to the national park. Just getting back to the same roundabout we came through earlier, and we went on the roundabout on our right side to coming from Kensington, and now we're going to go through this area here, going towards Anderson Creek, the golf course. This is a place up here on the right called the Gables. I'll take you through that later. We're staying there in the fall, and it's a beautiful cottage area. They come in clusters of 4 units to a cluster, pools and hot tubs. It's really a nice place. So Anderson Creek's just off the beaten path, if you will, in Cavendish. I mean, it's only about 3 or 4 minutes up here, but it kind of looks like nothing. Then all of a sudden you come up and there's this wonderful golf course. And here it is here. This is a great golf course. Not a huge clubhouse, but nobody's going to the big clubhouses anymore.